freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection, and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Hi folks, Dude here, coming on again, another edition of Dude After Dark. This one, of course, being the first show of the month of March, year of our Lord 2022. And, of course, it is an iteration of Dude After Dark where I'm running quite belated. Now, I actually do have a good excuse for that one. We are doing puppy training for Remington. So Remington is, he's learning how to do things correctly and not be just kind of, he's learning how to be less, he's learning how to be less that, okay? Now the thing about it is Remington's actually, he's actually a really sweet dog. He's a puppy. So he's doing his things. He's actually 6 months old on the 19th, I think it is. But he's not kind of... No, he's not like that. He's more just playful. Yeah, he's playful chomp. Not, no, he's not rah chomp. He's more just like playful chomp. So we were doing some dog training, and that worked me a little later. So I was just, I wasn't working in a coal mine. I was basically training my puppy. Or learning how to train my puppy. He's gotten himself the choke collar, which is basically just like this little sticky thing. It's not like, basically you're plugging like, violently into this flesh or anything. It's kind of more like a, hey man, stop doing it. So we now have those, and another tool, another arrow in our quiver. So we'll be using that one to do that which we used to do, and of course make sure that we truly do treat him correctly, because you got to have enough arrows in your quiver. So, would you stop? Just stop, okay? Anyway, so going on to that one, we basically had to do the puppy training and running belatedly. And Curious Entertainment, appreciate you coming by, dude. And yes, my brother in Christ, I truly appreciate those kind words you were saying on the other Dude After Dark. And yes, good stuff like that there. Let's see, scrolly. I'm just going to jump right into it. I know Joe is doing his spiel and trying to defend the indefensible. So we are now dealing with, obviously, well, where we got Mr. President. Yeah, because he thinks he's, the name is. No, he's simply just, yeah, I mean, there's no really any good way to say the whole. I mean, I really truly hate this thing too. Oh, it's Trump's fault that this is going on. Oh, it's Trump's fault that that's going on. All these other things are going on because it's the precursor to it was because of President Trump and his policies and blah 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 blah. It's like, why don't you take a little bit of responsibility for some of the stuff that you've done? Okay. We're seeing the economy sucking right now. Everybody being emboldened in bad places, and it's on your watch, okay? Trump didn't have stuff like this happen because those guys knew, don't blank with him, because he's just gonna hand you your butt, okay? In the meantime, we have Joe KAKA going, I've fallen, and I can't get up. Yeah, I know. And I know the fact that there's a lot of Democrats right now who were running in lockstep, yeah, they ran in lockstep to the polls, and they were voting for Mr. KAKA. But I know right now there is some huge quantity of buyer's remorse. And when they're seeing the news and they're seeing the stuff right now, I'm sure more than a few of these people are going, it was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up. Exactly. So I know for a fact those guys are now feeling, more than just a little bit of, just just all the way as fast as they possibly can see it. They are seeing their wishes for further Democrat incursion upon the House, the Senate. Just yeah, it's not looking good. And it could be said essentially that, when they start looking at the poll results.
The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Let's just say mommy and daddy are going to be talking really, really salty. Okay. So anyway, let me jump right into it. Now, you guys know, on the scale of things, I am not a Democrat. Okay, I'm a registered Democrat in Maryland, just so I could jack with them Price in the twice in the primary. I am not a Republican because, first and foremost, the Republicans are not your friends, and anytime that they tend to do something, it's usually a precursor for them enriching themselves further with all the plutocrats and all the rest of the stuff. I mean, I know there's huge amounts of plutocrats and the technocrats and all those guys on the Democrat aisle, but when you come right down to it, all these guys are always in it for themselves. Okay. When you get right down to it, I mean, Nancy Pelosi and her husband, they're worth a couple $100 million. I mean, I was talking with somebody in like one of my Uber rides last night. It's like, where's the tipping point? How much more enriched do these people need to become? I mean, Nancy Pelosi, she's towing 80 years old. What could she possibly spend a couple $100 million on in the course of her few remaining years, when she's basically living in Washington, D.C., riding the government teat, as it were, and really, truly doesn't pay for a whole hell of a lot. Kira's entertainment in the room, watching on my phone and tablet. Somehow they got synchronized. I don't know how that happened, but, that's just one of those things that when it does happen, it's just, serendipity. So we have to lay claim to it just being good. Okay. So, yeah, it is what it is. All right. Anyway, maybe you just had a little bit of technology working in your favor. Oh man. My God, sound guy, where did you dig that dinosaur up? Anyway, so I guess things are just working out. Working out. Working out. Anyway, so that's basically it. Your stuff just locked in, and technology was actually being kind to you. Gator Red, come to fact, when tanks are rolling into town and blowing up buildings, you're in deep squat. Yes, yes. Here's David, sound guy never fails. No, he really truly doesn't. But oh, he has his moments of just, dude, WTF. That was one of those WTF moments. Sound guy, just stop, okay? That's just nasty. Anyway, so usually we find ourselves looking at basically the sides of the aisles. And I'm not a centrist at all, okay? I'm more of a Jeffersonian constitutional federalist with auspices of, leave me the hell alone libertarianism. Could be said, I've quoted this one before, but the actor David Carradine was doing a radio interview, and they're like, well, where do you fall politically? And he said, I'm an anarchist conservative. And I was like, you know what? Thor's hammer. That's me. I'm an anarchist conservative. I want things to not change, but if you jack with it, I want to burn it to the ground. Let's see. So scrolly. This one, I hope this guy being on staff basically got the he got the head chop. Okay. I hopefully see this guy just getting, unceremoniously tossed. And of course, yeah, just light him up. Just 3 to the back of the head. Well, anyway, what this guy did in the video, I cannot do it justice, but this video was Florida Republican Chuck Brannon, who is the chair of the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee, got caught. I mean, got caught bad. What happened was there was guys going in there, and I don't know if it was like Project Veritas and one of these other, basically keep you honest kind of groups. But they went in there and they had found that or maybe the Second Amendment Foundation, but GOA, one of those guys, I forget which one it was. I think it was GOA. And they went in there and they found a bunch of petitions and a bunch of letters were actually in the blanking trash can right there. And they caught this aide going, well, I thought they were supposed to be thrown out. I didn't converse with the representative, this, that, the other thing. And the guy goes, dude, no, we were sending this stuff over to you to not even just petition him, but to tell him in no certain terms, if you do not represent us correctly, we will make it our point parcel and, well, hell, we'll make it our life's work to get you just tossed out the door. Okay. We're not even going to be nice about it. We're simply just going to,
hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, we're just going to throw you outside because you are just not worthy. You
dick.
Exactly. You
dick.
Yeah, you just get tossed right out because that is just not what should be happening.
What?
Yeah, I know. It shouldn't be what's happening when you send something off to a representative. It should be just honestly tallied. Those people who are for, those people who are against. It should be stated very clearly, that there's a good preponderance of the population that doesn't like what you're doing, or they do like what you're doing. It shouldn't be some subordinate going, oh, no, that stuff just, that is just not even worthy to give to you. So, well, we'll just toss it right out, and you don't need to see that. No, oh, jeez. You don't need to see that stuff. I'm just going to put it right out the door, post it in the circular file, and you don't need to see it. So anyway, look at us things as it is. This guy got, caught with a capital caught. Capital caught. Posted that one up on my Facebook page on February 22nd. And oh my stars and garters, it was delicious to see this guy just kind of like, well, I don't know how that wound up in the trash can here. No, it wound up in the trash can because you, my friend, got busted. And I don't mean just a little bit, but you got busted. Hardcore and just, I'm going to say this without saying this. Well, yeah. Yeah, you got, well, treated like Bubba in the jail cell. You got more than a little bit. I got to pull it out by the ethers. I haven't really played with this one in a while, but you got just a little bit more than a little bit of. Let's get ready to. Yeah, you got big time, and not even
death. By snoo.
Oh, there was absolutely no
snoo.
No, there was no snoo. It was
death. By
full on hardcore. So anyway, that guy got to look really, really stupid in front of people who were basically being represented by this guy. And the aide, in my heart of hearts, that guy should just unceremoniously be tossed out the door and just, done duck. All right. So anyway, looking at stuff as it is, we also have some very, very interesting news stories coming in from, of course, what's going on overseas in Ukraine. And man, I tell you what, you got to duck and cover. No, stop. No, stop. Okay, stop. No ducks. No. I took the quack away from him, but apparently he found the sound file and he's been.
The name's James.
Would you please just
put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, like I said, he's got the quack, all right? He's got the quack. All right, leave the quack alone for a little while, okay? Please. Serious story here, right? You see what I'm dealing with, folks. Anyway, there was an island on the outskirts of Ukraine. Let's give it a second here. Nose is running. There was an island in the outskirts of the Ukraine that was crewed by, I believe, 13, and I want to get the number wrong here. I believe it was crewed by 13 Ukrainian soldiers. They were addressed by a Russian warship, and the Russian warship was like, give yourselves up or we'll basically bomb the place flat, blah, 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 blah. This is Russian warship. You will surrender immediately, this, that, the other thing. And the Ukrainian guys are like, we should probably answer him, right? It'd be a good idea. And the guy's like, one of the other guys in the background's like, yeah, answer him back. Let him know what you think, or something along those lines. Maybe not, what you think, but that's kind of pretty much what he said. And he's like, hey, Russian warship, go blank yourself. At that point, the Russian guys were like, we really have no recourse here other than just bombing the place flat. So that's literally what they did. They basically wiped out all these Ukrainians, but it was the last act of defiance to tell the Russians to go take it somewhere else and do the physically impossible upon themselves. Kira Sanders in the room says the U.S. just joined Canada and some other EU countries which just banned Russian aircraft from their airspace. It's happening, dude. People are everybody's joining in and saying, Comrade Putin, blyat suka. Now, if you guys know Russian, you know exactly what that means. But let's just say it's referring to him as a blanking puppy mother. Let's see. Scrolly. Now, I don't really want to hang on the Ukrainian stuff too terrible much, but there's an interesting piece of legislation, and I'm not going to click on the story because I kind of pretty much already know what it is. But there was a precursor to this lawsuit. The state of Montana basically tried, and I don't know if it failed or if it's now just one of those things they really don't want to talk about because they were successful. But essentially what it is any form, and you can look at this anywhere that you want to look up, any piece of federal legislation has to hold point and parcel in two things. Now, this is a problem that a lot of federal legislation has, is people don't understand how the federal government is supposed to work. The federal government is allowed to only enforce two things. One, the sovereign United States, and actually the public defense, and all the rest of that good stuff like that there, and to tax and have some recourse to go into and actually mandate and legislate upon interstate commerce. Now, what Montana said is, okay, you build a gun in Montana. It doesn't leave Montana. There's no regulations that the federal government can place upon that firearm because as a sovereign state, of which it is, the sovereign state's sovereignty states that that weapon that has been produced in Montana was not produced in any way, shape, and form for interstate commerce. Ergo, the federal government has no way to enforce the Federal Firearms Acts of 1934 or any other firearms laws upon the Montana manufacturer of firearms in Montana. So essentially what they said is if you make a machine gun and it stays in Montana and it's your machine gun, the federal government can't say, oh, yeah, it's intended for interstate commerce. Well, it didn't leave. It stayed right there. Now, what's going on here is this one's coming in from Texas, and it's essentially the same thing. The 1934 Gun Control Act, if you know the way it actually is written, actually, there's a little bit of a precursor on that one. So it's the sovereignty and, of course, the postal service and collect taxes, okay? That's literally the only things the federal government is supposed to be able to do. Everything else goes and cedes to the states because you always go from the state to the federal, never from the federal to the state. So a lot of people don't know how laws are supposed to be written. And for the last couple hundred years, we've been bending over and taking it up, bending over, grabbing our ankles and spelling run because we don't know how the federal government is supposed to be limited. So anyway, what's going on here is Texas is now suing, saying, look, if you make a suppressor in Texas, it stays in Texas. It doesn't leave Texas. Why is there any interstate commerce or any federal regulation that falls upon that serialized item that probably is not ever going to leave outside the realm of the state law of Texas? So what they're saying is they're trying to now become successful in stating that you can home build suppressors, which is stepping outside of the GCA or the Gun Control Act of 1934, which controls mostly three things. It controls machine guns or a weapon that fires automatically by holding the trigger back, either as many rounds as you're holding the trigger back for or until it runs out of ammunition. That's a machine gun. in any way, shape, and form, however you wish to call it, a machine gun is a weapon system that fires by itself as long as the trigger is depressed, or as long as the firing stud's depressed, or as long as the spades are depressed for a Ma Deuce, the big 50 caliber machine gun. The second way they can enforce is weapons that fall outside of normal civilian style weapons. Read like a non-length correct shotgun or a non-length correct rifle. Pistols can have a barrel length of any length that you wish because it's considered a pistol. Now, for a short barrel rifle, a rifle may not have a barrel length under 16 inches. The overall length of the firearm must not fall under 26 and a half inches. Now, a shotgun, the barrel length cannot be under 18 and a half inches. You can ask the guys over in Ruby Ridge how that worked out for them to have an undercut barrel. And I've met the gentleman basically involved with Ruby Ridge, and it was a sad occasion to simply say, yes, sir, I'm really sorry what happened to you. And trust me, I'm really on your side of the equation. You got entrapped by the BATF. So essentially what it is the shotgun can't be, under a certain length. The rifle can't be under a certain length, or it becomes a short barrel rifle, short barrel shotgun. Excuse me. Short barrel rifle, short barrel shotgun. Next, the last piece of legislation that they then can employ themselves upon is suppressors, silenced weapons, or moderated firearms. However you wish to turn or coin the phrase, it's all roughly the same thing. You put a muffler on a gun, you quiet it down. There is no absolutely silent firearm. Just give me 1 second here. Probably the quietest firearm I think I could ever reckon that would be falling into that list would probably be the British Delisle carbine, which was a 45 ACP bolt action rifle intended to take out, basically sentries. Not exactly the most portable of things, but the engineering on it is exceedingly cool. So yes, it is quiet. Some people have said it's really as quiet as just hearing the firing pin going, and hitting the cartridge. I don't know if it's that quiet, but it's a very, very quiet gun. Anyway, so looking at things as it is they're now saying they're trying to work it out that essentially if something stays in state, manufactured in state, that the interstate commerce clause and the taxation on it does not render itself as being viable. Now, I've seen it in person. I don't have any, regulated firearms in that manner. But what the federal government did in 1934 is they're like, yeah, well, we can't really, do anything to, stop the interstate commerce and what have you, but we got to regulate the firearms some way. So what they said was, we know the post office being a member of the federal government, of course, falling under auspice of the Treasury, I think, or some way they made it shake hands because the BATF actually falls under the Treasury. Well, so does the FBI. So anyway, what they said essentially is we have to find some way to regulate, machine guns, suppressors, short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, all these other things that fall under the prerequisite 1934 Gun Control Act. We have to find some way to make these things fall under the precept of being regulated. So they started issuing a tax stamp. So literally, if you look at this, it is a stamp about that big. Literally, it looks like labels, terms the size of a stamp. And it cost $200 to obtain the tax stamp. Now, you got to remember, 1934, $200 was like a couple $1,000 at least. It was a lot of cash. Curious Entertainment says the Well Rod. Yeah, that one's really quiet too. I think the Delisle is actually a skosh quieter. But yes, the Well Rod is a very, very quiet one. So anyway, looking at the scheme of things, the tax stamp was then applied to the firearm. Now, those of you who know people with machine guns, they don't carry the tax stamps around with them because, once you destroy a tax stamp, you are done. That weapon system, you may as well just put it in the melting pot because you're never going to get another tax stamp for that firearm. It is only issued one tax stamp for the life of that gun. So what most people tend to do is they take the tax stamp, they'll put it on a Xerox machine, and they'll make a copy. Or they'll put it on a digital printer, and they'll make a copy. Then they take that copy, they fold it up, and they'll stick it in the pistol grip, and they'll stick it in the buttstock, or they'll have it on their person. They will always have that directly with the gun. Why? Because you don't want to get caught when you're outside playing with, you don't want to get caught. Yeah, you want to make sure you're legal. All right, sound guy. I think it's dead. All right. Jeez. So anyway, the long and the short is essentially you wish to have the tax stamp with you at all times to authenticate the fact that that machine gun is legitimately legally owned by the person that it is with or the person that it is used by in a trust. That's the other thing too, is you can get trust memberships to the trust that you set up to own machine guns and property and all this other stuff. You'd have to look at how trusts work, and it's far and away beyond me. It's beyond my pay scale, and I don't even really get into that stuff. Anyway, so looking at stuff as it is they're trying now to fight the GCA 1934, and they're hoping to knock that thing out and make it less onerous, and it's just bad stuff, okay? Let's see. So looking at here in the room, Curious Entertainment. Oh, Martina Sasquatch. Kidneys are safe. Ants are giving a false positive. Top notch, dude. Well, that's very, very good to hear. Barry K-Shawn, appreciate you coming on by, brother. Curious Entertainment says you could make an electrically fired L-Rod style pistol chamber in 22 or 22 long rifle. That would be very, very near quiet. Well, electrically fired pistols, that's not new technology. As a matter of fact, some of the autocannons that they use on ships and aircraft are actually electric primers. So literally the cartridge goes by, hits a couple of contacts, that's what fires it. There is no, firing pin and mechanism hitting each cartridge as it goes by. It literally is just an electric charge going, time to go off. The Dukes of Fallujah. Jeez. Yeah, something like that. Well, anyway, so looking at things as it is, we hopefully can just, step aside of the 34 and say, as long as you make something, you maintain it in your state, you don't leave your state. In some states, read like very, very red, very, very gun positive states, hopefully they can overturn this thing, because the 34 Gun Control Act is onerous, it's outdated, and machine guns are not used in crimes, okay? They're just not. As a matter of fact, from what I understand, we're doing some research. Yes, you can use a machine gun to defend yourself with. Only problem is by the time you get it back from the cops, it might be partly melted, because they're going to go, this thing's great, and they're just going to shoot it until the thing basically self-destructs. We have to test it and test it and test it. Anyway, something scrolly. I cannot begin to tell you just how much of a amazingly this is a move right out of somebody who's a practice jackass. That's the only thing I really say about it, because who are we talking about? The name is. So what did President do? Well, he did a full-on move. Like, I cannot begin to tell you the level, depth, and breadth of which, but oh my stars and garters, President really did it this time. There's now a report from conservativefighters.co, or it might be .com, but report Biden turned over intelligence to China about Russia's attack on the plans to attack the Ukraine. Anybody in the room want to take a guess what Chinese guys did with that information and intelligence? Anybody want to take a guess what happened to that paperwork? Just think about it long and hard, okay? Just, what do you think happened there? Was it like something kind of just illustratively intelligent, or was it just amazingly idiotic? I'll let you guys think about it for a second. Okay, what do you think Joe KAKA did? Huh? Oh, do you think he basically handed it off to somebody that could really use it effectively? Maybe, maybe not. Did he do that? Oh, no. What did he do with that information? Do you think he gave it to, or, well, of course, he gave it to the Chinese. What do you think the Chinese did with it? Do you think they gave it to somebody who's really, truly deserving? No! What do you think the Chinese did? Come on, folks, in the room. Yes, Curious Entertainment, they gave it to the Russians. Ugh, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Just
Fatality.
for any brain cells for somebody going, dude, that was just, yeah, beyond.
Fatality.
That was just so unbelievably. Yes, Joe KAKA had a brain fart. Joe KAKA had a brain fart. Yeah, that's just. I know. I'll give it to the Chinese. The Chinese are so smart. They know what to do with this information. No. Yeah, Martina Sasquatch. Joe gave it to Zinni, then Zinni the Pooh gave it to the Kremlin. Exactly. So, Joe, when you have a great idea, what do?
Blow it out your ass.
Exactly. You take a great idea and you just blow it out your ass. My stars and garters. You know, of all the things that you could be doing with information and intel, why would you ever give it to a communist nation like China, who then has to send it off to another formerly communist Chinese nation? It's like right next door. Oh, jeez. So this one's kind of interesting. And I know it's supposed to be Kiev, but I'm going to still say Kiev. So where did Joe KAKA go when the Russians were preparing to take Kiev? Well, he went on vacation to Delaware. That's right. He left the White House on Friday to return home to Delaware despite Russia's increasingly violent attack on Ukraine. The president's trip home risks bad optics. Gee, do you think? Just. Yeah. I mean, when you do stupid stuff like that, think about it long and hard. Would you actually have any problem presenting the truth of the matter to anybody? No, you won't. You won't. Oh, man. Curious Entertainment says the 40-mile convoy, Gordon, towards Kiev has been stalled. Well, Curious Entertainment, I've been reading some news stories. Supposedly, there's a lot of Russian soldiers who are surrendering. And there's also a lot of Russian soldiers who are complaining about not having enough gas or fuel. If you guys know your history, and I'm kind of a student of history, if you guys know your history, Hitler failed hilariously bad with his African campaigns, sending just an amazingly effective general like General Rommel down to Africa, one-way trip. Why? Because the further away he went, the more people he was leaving behind, the more stuff he was leaving behind. Until finally, he gets to the end of the line because, oh yeah, they ran out of fuel. If you're going to do anything in terms of any form of military exercise, one of the very first things your sergeant's going to tell you with a foot up your ass is fill the bloody damn tanks and you better make sure you got extra fuel. That's one of the very first things that they will make sure in any military operation is, oh yeah, you got beans, bullets, and bandages, and oh yeah, the tanks on the vehicles are full. Also, there will be some other follow-alongs to suck down the fuel and hand it off to other people. Yeah. There's a really, really cool story about, of all people, the guy that literally is on my phone. I mean, I literally have this as my entry, my name message on my phone. And it says essentially, hang on a second, let me redo it here. Lead follower, get the hell out of my way, General George S. Patton. So the thing about it is what General George S. Patton was, he was doing a military exercise in the United States, precursor to World War II. And you got to know something about the history of Patton. Patton was not broke. He was actually from a very well-to-do family. Basically, he was rich. So in the process of doing this military movement, where basically it was a capture the flag kind of a thing between his battle group of tanks and another battle group of tanks, and they were like, facing off, or like, you take this hill, we'll take this land. We basically da 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 till we finally get around and we capture your flag. That's literally what it was. He was literally doing a capture the flag exercise, and in the process of doing so, became point of order that, oh yeah, they're running out of gas. Now, you got to remember too, back in those days, tanks ran on gasoline. They did not run on diesel. That was the Germans' trick. So the thing about it is our stuff ran on gas. Well, the tanks start getting dry. So what Patton did was he rerouted his guys and he ran them down a highway. He goes up to a gas station and he basically has his tank stop. Goes in there, they're like, oh, hey, what's up, sir? And he's like, yeah, here's the deal. He goes, how much gas you got? And the guy goes, oh, we were just filled up the other day. We got plenty of gas. He goes, how much to buy all your gas? And the guy goes, what? He goes, I want to buy every drop of gas that you have in this gas station right now. How much? And the guy's like, and they threw him a number. Patton pulls out a wad of cash, plunks it on a desk. He goes, here's what you're doing. Every tank of mine that drives by, you fill it up. And that's what you're doing until you run out of gas. Then he would go down to the next gas station. He would stop there. Hey, how you doing? Oh, yeah, what's going on, sir? It's like, how much gas you got? Oh, full up. Got some gas. Or he's like, here's some money. Boom. Every tank that drives in here, you fill it. And he literally did that, and he extended his operating range to such a degree that the other guys were going, what in the hell's going on here? He's running circles around us. And Patton won the war exercise because he literally outthought the previous guys by buying and utilizing civilian obtained supplies in military vehicles. Curious Entertainment says, don't forget the expired rations. Well, dude, I'll tell you what, a Russian MRE is okay. It wouldn't be my first choice. The Ukrainian MRE looks amazing. If you guys want to see a really kick-ass video, Steve 1989, the guy that does those MRE tasting things, did a video on the Ukrainian, what was it, like 24-hour ration or something? Oh my stars and garters, that thing looked freaking amazing. Yes, it was really big, bulky, and heavy, but the food in it, he was saying like the food in here is like home-cooked meals, man. Like this makes the Russian stuff seem not even worthy. Kira Entertainment says the ones that expired in 2015. Well, you basically got to keep on running and going on that one. So let me see here real quick here. Let me see if I can't find the link for it real fast here. If I get the video link, I'll just throw it right in the chat room. You guys can check it out. But I got to tell you, man, yeah, the 2021 Ukrainian 24-hour field race review, pork Tashanka and Kasha. Dude, I cannot begin to tell you just how tasty that thing looked. And let me kill it before I get a copyright hit. Anyway, so here's the video link for that one. I commend it to you. Watch that video. Steve was just like, oh, my stars and garters. Thor's hammer. This stuff rocks. The only thing he said was kind of weak was the crackers, but he said all the entrees and all the secondary items in there, very intelligently set out, not provoking like a huge diabetic hit from like way too much sugar and, high carbs and all the rest of that stuff. He goes, that's the kind of stuff that you would want somebody's mother to make for you when you're sitting down at dinner. That's the kind of stuff the Ukrainians are getting. Anyway, so let's see. Scroll. So Joe KAKA. Yeah, Joe KAKA. Speaking of Russians, I don't know if you guys heard about this one or not, but I showed this to Mrs. Dude, and she just shook her head like, you got to be blanking kidding me. She almost said that too. But the Russians in their infinite wisdom, or should I say impotent wisdom, hit a radioactive waste disposal site near Kyiv by an airstrike. So Russian bombs struck a radioactive waste burial facility near Ukrainian's capital Kyiv overnight. The state nuclear regulatory inspectorate of Ukraine said on Sunday morning, no radiation leaks have been noticed at the moment, but who knows if the Ruskies aren't going to go, oh, it's not working good. Let's hit it again. Jeez. Oh, flip. Just when you can't see anything more obtuse, ignorant, and badly executed, they go up another level. Wow. But I think there is some recourse coming back, and there is some slapdown happening because Comrade Putin is not happy right now. And why is he not happy? Well, it's because Anonymous just declared war on him. If you guys know anything about Anonymous, Anonymous is literally that. It's anonymous. It's a very loosely held together group of hackers. And their claim to fame is they're basically a bunch of goody two-shoes. I mean, they're white hats. I mean, they're not black hats. They are white hats. In the highest order, they're a bunch of peaceniks. And they're not happy with what Russia's been doing. So I've heard telltale of somewhere between 8 to 20,000 of the anonymous guys are now making it their life's mission to completely just screw with every Russian infrastructure item they could possibly get in there and just completely blow it up to just. Yeah, they're just trying to take it out and really just kick its ass. So Putin right now is kind of going, oh, Snapsky. Yeah, and he really said, oh, Snapsky. So it's happening, and it's looking very, very interesting. And how bad is it right now for this little military maneuver, shall we say, that Russia's perpetrating upon the Ukraine? Professional, nice guys. And I do mean professional. Like, basically, the guys who are just like, I'm sorry, that is very, very not nice. That is about the most overt you're going to get from these guys. The Swiss, like the friends to everybody, like the financiers to everybody, bankers to everybody, just general nice guys to everybody. How hardcore do I like the Swiss? About that hardcore. Yeah, and I have a serious collection of these guys. Why? Because I trust their stuff. It's usually my standard carry is the Victorinox Swiss Army knife. And it's been my standard carry since like the early 1980s. They're just that damn good. But anyway, the Swiss. Dude, they just pissed off the Swiss. Now, how pissed off were the Swiss? I'm sure the public statement would have been something like, when you do something and your grandmother is like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. That was very bad. I'm very disappointed in you. Now, to put it in perspective, if you were speaking like the Swiss, I'm very disappointed in you, is like somebody else going, you motherfather. Yeah, that's the pissed off Swiss right there. So anyway, Switzerland has adopted EU sanctions against Russia. And I'm looking at the official admin.ch, ch being Switzerland, hack EN for English, hack start documentation, media release message ID, blah, 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 blah. So, Bern, which is the capital. So, February 28, 2022, and of course they do that backwards thing where it's 2802. So, you got to remember that European dating thing. So, 2/28, so February 28, in view of Russia's continued military intervention in the Ukraine, the Federal Council took the decision on 28 February to adopt the packages of sanctions imposed by the EU on 23 and 25 February. The assets and individuals and companies listed are frozen with immediate effect. The financial sanctions against Russian President Vladimir Putin, Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin, Minister Mikhail Hustin, and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will be implemented with immediate effect. Switzerland reaffirms its solidarity with Ukraine and its people and will be delivering relief supplies for people who have fled to Poland. At the extraordinary meeting of 28 February, the Federal Council took the decision to adopt the EU sanctions against Russia and thus strengthen their impact. The Federal Council has instructed the Federal Department of Economic Affairs, Education, and Research, or the EAER, to modify the existing ordinance based on EU measures. Switzerland will implement sanctions in coordination with the EU. These are primarily goods and financial sanctions. It's $20 billion a day to operate this financial boondoggle in the Ukraine by Russia. 20 billion, folks. They don't have that kind of scratch. The assets of the persons and companies listed in the annex to the ordinance are frozen with immediate effect. The ban on entering into new business relationships remain in place. So basically, the Swiss are saying in no uncertain terms, dude, you ain't going nowhere with nothing. Go away. Holy crap. The Federal Council has also decided to partially suspend the 2009 agreement on visa visa facilitation, facilitation on Russian nationals. The Federal Council has also decided to impose entry bans against a number of individuals who have connection to Switzerland or are close to the Russian president, based on the Federal Constitution Act, Art 1984, paragraph 3, CST, and Art 1985, the CST. The Federal Council may adopt appropriate measures to safeguard the country's interests or Switzerland's external security, independence, and neutrality. You know what? If you're talking about a neutral country, holding their cash is about as just badass as those guys could do. And I'll tell you what, to piss off the Swiss, you really stepped over the mark. This one being kind of interesting as well. The Turks really don't like the Russians a whole hell of a lot, mostly because they've been screwing with them too much, by propping up the Syrian things. So the Syrians dicking around with the Turks, and the Turks are like, no, we're tired of this crap, Mr. Russian. Well, what they did was they gave the Ukrainians, or they sold the Ukrainians, some of their drone weapon technology. There is video now of this drone kicking some major Russian convoy ass. Oh, my stars and garters. This one coming in from yahoo.com. And the quote from the Ukrainians to the Russians is, "Welcome to hell." It ain't going good, folks. I mean, there was another instance here. I can post this one off to you real quick. A Russian soldier's final text to his mother before his death in the Ukraine. Ukrainian officials have released heartbreaking final text purportedly sent by a Russian soldier to his mother before he was killed in combat. It said basically, published a message from the unidentified soldier on Monday after the conflict raged for a fifth day. Quote, "I'm scared. We're hitting everyone, even civilians," the soldier wrote in Russian. Quote, "We've been told that people would welcome us here, but they jump under our vehicles, not letting us pass. They call us fascists. Mom, it's so hard." End quote. The soldier told his mother he was no longer in Crimea doing training exercises and says, quote, "We were told that the civilians would welcome us," end quote. Follow live updates on the Russian incursion in Ukraine. Forget that. But the mother asked if she could send him a package. He replied, "The only thing I want now is to hang myself." Wow. Just wow. I got to lose that follow live update thing. That's annoying. I just grabbed text. Let me shift gears and pivot real quick. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up on this news story or not, but the Arizona Senate study has just estimated that there is 200,000 ballots counted in 2020 with mismatched signatures. Somebody needs to go to jail. So a study in Maricopa County mail ballots in Arizona's 2020 presidential election estimates more than 200,000 ballots with mismatched signatures were counted without being validated as being bad juju. Woof, woof, woof. Curious Entertainment in the Room says, considering how the Ukraine situation is turning out, has the West overestimated Russians' military strength? No. The Russian military has got a couple strikes against us. Number one, well, they really haven't been in active combat in a long time. Number two, I hate to tell you this, Putin, your country's gone soft. You become very, you become very American in a lot of respects. You guys are basically just enjoying it, hamming it up, drinking too much, partying too hard, spending too much money, living the life of Riley when you really shouldn't, because you're really not that well off financially. And yeah, you're still probably in the process of trying to become a better country than what you were previously, and trying to make you like you were 1,000 years ago with the Great Russian Republic, whatever you wish to call it, Tsarist Empire, precursor to Tsars, I guess. It ain't that. It really ain't that. More Martina Sasquatch, I hope that it will finally bring an end to the 1,000 years of sacrifice for the Slavic peoples. Dude, I'm with you. I'm part Hungarian. I'm with you. I'm with you. Now, I know the thing that is kind of funny is my grandmother's village in Hungary is actually now in Czechoslovakia because all those border skirmishes. So the border that my grandmother's village was in shifted south 20 kilometers, 13 miles. So I really don't have any axes to grind against the Czechs. I know all these border skirmishes are taking place. That stuff's been going on forever. I tend to think that the Hungarians and the Czechs actually probably get along pretty good at this point. I mean, they got really similar food. Culturally, they kind of think very similar. They're very, very conservative people. And it's not even really a major issue. The biggest problem they got to deal with is, of course, the Russians. Yeah. I think right now that Putin is not doing good. Things are looking very bad for Russia. The soldiers currently stalled, facing major problems, running out of gas and food north of Kyiv. Some Russians units have surrendered without a fight in the Ukraine, according to Reuters. Senior U.S. defense official confirmed to Reuters that, quote, U.S. assesses that morale is flagging in some Russian units. Gee, do you think? Breaking. U.S. assesses morale is flagging Russian units. Some Russian units have surrendered without a fight in Ukraine. A senior U.S. senior defense official says. They're really not into it, man. They thought they were going to go hang out with a bunch of Ukrainians. It was going to be minor, just kind of coming in there and hanging out. It wasn't going to be like, going in there and actually throwing down. So I think Mr. Putin really overstepped his bounds. Dude. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I haven't watched a second of Joe KAKA. Like I said, essentially what happened was, I basically had to take Remy. Remy had to go out for puppy training, and we had to learn some new tricks, and we got some new equipment to use on him and some new training protocols. So he'll be a well-trained dog by the time we're done. So that's where we are with that one, and that's why I was running belated. It wasn't like I was watching Joe KAKA doing his usual song and dance, which is pretty much usually a trail of tears. Could be said that you just, you get what you get with him, and it's not going to be a good conclusion. I mean, the guy's been in office in Washington, D.C. since 1973. Let's just say his first amazing public appearance where he basically made a nickname for himself, he was stating that the Viet Cong should get their country back and we should have nothing to do anything further. Needless to say, he was rah-rahing the fall of Saigon. You want to talk about somebody who's wrong most of the time, if not all of the time, saying stupid things, doing bad behavior, and being the wrong guy at the wrong time for any situation? That's Joe Biden. Joe KAKA. He is not the guy. And this upcoming midterm election is going to be a bloodbath, man. Mark my words. It will be a literal bloodbath. Let's see. What have we got here? Oh, okay. Newly acquired toys. I'm so addicted with some of these knives of the 80s and all. It's just good stuff. Anyway, so I guess we're going to break with this, folks. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. It was kind of a belated opening. I'm not going to make it a hugely late show. Now everybody's got things to do. I mean, I really, truly appreciate you kind of attention. You guys coming by and hanging out with me at every time. And if you do come by, you do get the gold star for attendance. So I truly appreciate your kind attention. I know you got many other places to be on a Tuesday. Yes, you can be listening to the wonderful dulcet tones of Joe KAKA. Yeah. On that note, I'm not even going to watch that thing in review. It's just a train wreck. I don't know what kind of stuff they dosed them up with, but it's probably going to be him kind of being completely conjittered, loaded up to the gills with some kind of yum juice. Of that, I shall say no more. Okay, I'm going to bring over this one, folks. Eat good, keep it as always. You know it, you love it, and I appreciate your kind indulgences. But you guys hung out with me tonight, and I appreciate your time. See you guys next week, and catch you later. See you guys.